If your toilet clogs once, that's just life. But if your toilet keeps clogging over and over again, week after week, that's not bad luck. That's a symptom of something deeper going on. And I can almost guarantee it's one of 5 hidden causes that most people never even think to check. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to diagnose and fix a toilet that keeps clogging, starting with the easiest things to check and working our way down to the real culprits. Plus, stick around to the end because I'll show you a completely free trick that prevents most clogs from ever happening in the first place. Let's get into it. Recurring toilet clogs are one of the most frustrating problems you can deal with as a homeowner. And the reason they're so frustrating is that most people keep treating the symptom instead of finding the actual cause. Once you understand how your toilet works and what to look for, this is absolutely something you can diagnose and fix yourself. So, let's start with the basics. Here's what most people don't realize about how a toilet works. When you press that handle, water rushes from the tank into the bowl through small openings under the rim called rim jets. That sudden rush of water creates a siphon effect inside the built-in trap at the base of your toilet. That trap is an S-shaped channel molded right into the porcelain, and the siphon is what actually pulls everything down and out of the bowl. From there, waste travels through a short pipe called the closet bin into your 3-inch or 4-inch drain line, and eventually out to your main sewer line. Now here's the part most people forget about. There's also a vent pipe, usually running up through your roof, that allows air into the drain system. Without that air, the siphon can't form properly, and your flush loses power. So when you've got a toilet that keeps clogging, the problem is hiding somewhere in that chain. Either something is limiting flush power, something is partially blocking the path, or the system isn't getting enough air. Your job is to figure out which one, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Let's start with the simplest and most common cause, which is what's actually going into the toilet. I know that sounds obvious, but you'd be amazed how often this turns out to be the real issue. First, take a look at your toilet paper. If you're using one of those ultra-thick, ultra-plush brands, that could be your whole problem right there. Those premium toilet papers feel great, but they don't break down the way thinner paper does. Here's a quick test you can do at home. Take a few sheets of your toilet paper, drop them into a glass of water, and swirl it around for about 10 seconds. If the paper is still holding together in solid clumps, it's not dissolving fast enough for your toilet to handle. Switch to a mid-grade, single-ply, or standard 2-ply paper and see if that alone fixes your problem. You might be surprised. Second, and I cannot stress this enough, stop flushing so-called flushable wipes. They are not flushable. I don't care what the package says. In over 30 years of plumbing, I've pulled more to wipe clogs out of toilets and drain lines than I can count. They do not break down. They snag on rough spots inside your pipes, and they accumulate over time until you've got a recurring blockage. If wipes are part of your routine, just toss them in a small trash can with a lid. Problem solved. Also, think about how much paper is going in per flush. If you tend to use a lot, try flushing once midway through and then again at the end. 2 smaller flushes will always work better than 1 overloaded flush. Now, if you've ruled out what's going in and the problem continues, The next thing to check is your flush power. A weak flush is one of the sneakiest causes of recurring clogs because it happens so gradually that you don't even notice it. Over time, mineral deposits from hard water build up inside those rim jets I mentioned earlier, the small openings underneath the rim of your bowl. When those jets get clogged, less water enters the bowl during each flush, which means a weaker siphon. Here's how to check. Grab a small hand mirror and hold it up under the rim of your toilet so you can see those jet openings. If you see white, green, or orange crusty buildup around those holes, that's your problem. To clean them, take a piece of duct tape and cover every jet opening you can see around the rim. Then pour about 2 cups of plain white vinegar into the overflow tube inside your tank. That's the tall open tube near the center of the tank. The vinegar will flow down and sit against those mineral deposits. Leave the tape on and let it soak overnight, at least 8 to 10 hours. Then pull the tape off and flush a few times. You should see a noticeably stronger flush. For stubborn buildup, you can use a small piece of wire or an Allen wrench to gently poke out any remaining debris from each jet opening. Now, there's another quick test I like to do called the bucket test. Fill a 5-gallon bucket with water and pour it directly into the bowl from about waist height, nice and fast. If the toilet flushes perfectly with the bucket pour but struggles with the normal handle flush, that confirms the problem is flush power, not a blockage downstream. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, you should know it's just a small sample of what I've put into my new guide, the Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It's packed with step-by-step instructions for hundreds of repairs that can save you thousands. To grab your copy, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or just use the first link in the description below. All right, let's continue. If your flush power checks out fine but clogs keep coming back, there's a good chance you've got a partial obstruction sitting inside the toilet's internal trap. This is something a plunger won't fix because a plunger just pushes past the blockage temporarily without actually removing it. What you need is a toilet auger, sometimes called a closet auger. This is a 3-foot flexible cable with a corkscrew tip that's specifically designed to reach into that S-shaped trap without scratching your porcelain. You can pick one up at any hardware store for around $20 to $30, and it's worth every penny. Here's how to use it. Insert the curved end of the auger down into the drain opening at the bottom of the bowl. Slowly crank the handle clockwise while pushing forward. You'll feel the cable work its way through the trap. What you're feeling for is any resistance that isn't just the natural curve of the trap. If you hit something solid, keep cranking and pushing gently. The corkscrew tip will either break through the obstruction or grab onto it so you can pull it back out. I've pulled out everything from a buildup of hardened wipe material to children's toys, toothbrushes, and even a small shampoo bottle. If the auger goes through smoothly and doesn't find anything, your trap is clear, and it's time to look further downstream. When the clog isn't in the toilet itself, the next place to investigate is your drain line and vent stack. Let's start with the drain line. Look for a clean-out plug, which is usually a round cap with a square nut on top, located somewhere along your main drain line. In many homes, it's in the basement, the crawl space, or on an exterior wall near ground level. If you open that clean out and see standing water, that tells you there's a blockage further down the line. For this, you'll want a drain snake that's at least 25 feet long. Feed it into the clean out and work it forward until you feel resistance, then crank through it just like the toilet auger. If you're hitting recurring blockages in the main line, tree root intrusion is a very common cause, especially in homes more than 20 years old. Roots find their way into small joints in your sewer pipe and grow over time. If you suspect roots, it's worth paying for a camera inspection. Most plumbers charge between $100 and $300 for that, and it can save you from guessing. Now let's talk about the vent stack. If your toilet flushes sluggishly, or you hear gurgling sounds from nearby drains when you flush, or you occasionally catch a whiff of sewer gas, those are classic signs of a blocked vent. The vent is usually a 3-inch or 4-inch pipe that exits through your roof. Leaves, bird nests, and even ice in winter can block it. If you're comfortable getting on your roof safely, you can look down into the vent opening with a flashlight. If you see a blockage, sometimes a garden hose with good water pressure is enough to clear it. If it's deeper, a 25-foot drain snake-fed down from the top will usually do the trick. Here's something that might save you a lot of time and frustration. Sometimes the real problem is the toilet itself. If your home was built in the mid-1990s, there's a good chance you have one of the first generation low-flow toilets that were required after the 1.6-gallon mandate went into effect. Those early models were honestly terrible. The manufacturers just took their old 3.5-gallon designs and restricted the water without redesigning the trap or the flushing mechanism. The result was a toilet that could barely clear a decent flush. If yours is one of those early models, no amount of cleaning or augering is going to fix the underlying problem. The good news is that modern low-flow toilets are dramatically better. When shopping for a replacement, look for something with a MAP score of at least 800 grams. MAP stands for Maximum Achievable Performance, and it tells you how many grams of solid waste the toilet can clear in a single flush. Anything above 800 is excellent. Also look for a fully glazed trapway that's at least 2 inches in diameter and ideally 2 1/8 inches. A larger, smoother trapway means less friction and fewer clogs. A quality toilet that will last you decades can be found for between $200 and $350, and it's one of the best investments you can make in a home. Let's talk about some common problems you might run into and how to solve them. First, your toilet clogs every few days, even though you switch to thinner paper and stop using wipes. This usually points to a partial obstruction in the trap or the closet bin. Run a toilet auger through it and see what comes out. Second, your toilet flushes fine most of the time, but clogs randomly with normal use. This is often a partially blocked vent. The flush works when conditions are right, but fails when air pressure in the drain system isn't balanced. Check your vent stack. Third, you hear gurgling from the shower or sink when you flush. That's almost always a vent issue or a partial blockage in a shared drain line. Start with the vent and work your way to the drain. Fourth, your toilet bowl water level drops on its own between flushes. This is usually caused by siphoning from a blocked vent or occasionally a hairline crack in the internal trap. If clearing the vent doesn't fix it, the toilet may need replacing. Fifth, You plunge the clog and it clears, but then it comes back within a day or two in the same spot. That's a textbook partial blockage. The plunger pushes just enough material past the obstruction to restore flow temporarily, but the obstruction stays put. An auger will grab it and pull it out for good. Now, for that bonus tip I promised at the beginning. This is something I do in my own home once a month, and it's completely free. Heat up about a gallon of water on the stove. You want it hot but not boiling, somewhere around 130 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Boiling water can actually crack porcelain, so don't go that high. Squirt a generous amount of regular dish soap into the toilet bowl, maybe 3 or 4 good squirts. Then slowly pour that hot water into the bowl from about waist height. Let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes, then flush. The combination of hot water and dish soap breaks down any grease or organic buildup starting to accumulate inside the trap and the top of your drain line. It's basically preventive maintenance that stops partial blockages before they ever become full clogs. While you're at it, pop the lid off your tank and check your water level. It should sit right at the fill line marked on the inside of the tank, or about 1 inch below the top of the overflow tube. If it's lower than that, your flushes aren't getting the full volume of water they need. Just adjust the float up slightly until the water level reaches that line. Those two things together, the monthly hot water flush and the correct tank water level, will prevent the vast majority of recurring clogs. Before you go, I want to make sure you know about my complete guide, the Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It goes way deeper than we can in a single video, with 85 pages covering everything from clearing any clog to replacing your own water heater. If you want to stop wasting money on simple fixes, this book is for you. Just scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to get your copy. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.